I was planning on doing a vehicle repair video today. I went down and got the cap rotor. Wanted to get plug wires to fix that. Van's got a cold start during damp weather issue. Once it's started, it can rain all day long and it'll work just fine. But if it sits overnight with a cold engine and it rains, you gotta crank until the battery's almost flat before it'll finally start and run. So I replaced the ignition module. That didn't fix it. So next thing is to I gotta tear apart the dashboard so that I can get the cover off the engine doghouse and I can get to the back of the engine where the distributor is. And while that's open, I might as well replace pretty much everything that's in there. So I'll replace cap rotor and the plug wires. And when I went to look to see what I had to tear apart to get access to it, I saw a bunch of factory paint, inspection paint on the screws that I gotta deal with to take things apart enough. So I know that the motor's never had a tune-up in 23 years. So it's due. 144,000 miles, 23 years. Van's not hurt, but it's time to put a little money in the motor. So that's going to be a next few days project. The plug wires are on order until the morning, so we're stopped until then. So I just saw a video about a 533 Coleman stove, and since it's that time of year, I figured I'd show my way around around mine. I generally use it to melt lead because it's got a between a 10,000 and 15,000 BTU rating. It's just a big powerhouse of a stove, so it's good for a snow melting kit, and it's also good to melt lead to the 625 degree Fahrenheit neighborhood to melt it and pour fishing weight molds. So I usually carry that's a 16 centimeter zebra can. That goes in the van for snow melting purposes, and the stove will also. Inside of the zebra pot is pot holders, the workings for there's a big alcohol burner in there. Inside is lots of alcohol fuel. There's two Trangia stoves down the bottom of that, and there's pot stand and windscreen. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Normally use the zebra can on either an alcohol stove or the Coleman, so it doesn't get sooted up like it does over a fire. But that works. For melting snow, first you got to understand what snow is, and it's basically it's rain that's been turned into whipped cream. It's rain that's got a bunch of air mixed into it. So you need You need 10 inches of snowfall to make 1 inch of rain. Which means if you gather 10 of them pots full of snow, you're going to end up with 1 pot full of water. And because of the fact that it's full of air, it's also an excellent insulator. So it takes a bunch, just a bunch of fuel to melt snow. But if you've got free water, liquid water, you can melt snow readily, as long as you can keep the water above the freezing point, zero. Keep it above 0 Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. You can melt snow all day long with just a little bit of water. So that's what I use the pot for. I put snow in there, put it on the stove. I make a little bit of free water, and then stir it with whatever I have to get the snow down into the water, and then you put it back on the stove to heat it up enough that it just keeps the free water above the freezing stage. And once you get the process started, you can keep it going pretty easy. I carry a 32-ounce stainless steel canister, and I carry it empty for the most part. And I usually fill it full of snow and then put it inside my jacket and then let my body heat melt the snow enough that it starts to make a little bit of water. Then I use it to I shake it around and just keep doing the process. So that's what that's long-winded way of saying that's how I melt snow. Fuel for the Coleman stove. I run Coleman fuel in mine, so I don't really have a gumming problem. But this is a dual fuel. This is a dual fuel stove, so you can run gasoline in there also if you have to. But if you're running gasoline in there, then you should, every once in a while, you should run between 10 and 25% of stove fuel, denatured alcohol, mixed with your gasoline fuel. So what that does is alcohol is a superior parts cleaning solvent, and you have to keep the metering valves clear, otherwise they gum up with gasoline and just start plugging stuff. This is a pressurized canister. You fill the fuel tank. You pump pressure up into it. The fuel comes up through this. It goes over the top, and then it comes down to the metering valve that turns on the main jets. It's the heat on this tube right here that makes the stove work. And this is it's 35 degrees out here right now, so I'm going to turn this valve on. Positions are right here. You turn this valve till the red is pointed this other direction. That's as high as it goes. that's for lighting. And then I'm going to use the ferro rod to make a spark, and it's going to burn. It's going to burn and look terrible until this bar right here gets heated. So we'll see what we can do. In the meantime, there's a brand new channel called Wayne's Homestead. He's doing a 100 subscriber giveaway, and I just looked at his channel to get the address, and he's up to 112 or 115 subscribers right now. And he's a really knowledgeable person. He's a commercial propane salesman. So if you've got any propane questions, he's the subject matter expert to check out. But said I would give him a shout out, so here it goes. Wayne's Homestead. I'll leave the link down below so that you can find it without having to look for it. But let's see what we can... Yeah, that's still in there. See if I can get this done without... And that went better. That lit better than I thought it was going to. You hear that hissing, spitting sound? That's what you get before that bar heats up. That's still liquid. That's still liquid fuel, and the more it burns, the better, the more efficient that it burns. And then it'll go through the huffing stage, and then it'll settle down. And right now it's putting out about between 10 and 15,000 BTUs. So yeah, this is a very efficient little stove for putting out a bunch of heat in a really small package. I saw a invoice where one was sold over in England for something like 55 pounds, and that would work out to be about, I suppose, about $70 US. But I paid less than 40 for this, but that was 5 years ago. So yeah, I would highly recommend you you check out one of these stoves if you need a lot of heat in a really small package. The drawbacks are that you have to carry around a fuel canister or a smaller container that will hold your fuel, but you got to do that with alcohol anyway. So anyway, I wanted to give a shout out, show pan in this black little container is a small titanium little stove. So all right, we wanted to gotta let it go. See ya.